The point to the sign, the classic promos, and the epic building videos that take us to maybe the most monumentous pay-per-view in the calendar year. Yes, I'm talking about WrestleMania, and we are very, very close to being there. Hi, my name is Calvin from the SLG Network, and these are my top 10 WrestleManias of all time. Before we get into the video, a couple of disclosures. A, this is my list. I understand you might not agree with everything that goes on here. However, again, my list. If you want to make your list, make a YouTube video. Throw up an article on a website. Do whatever you need to do. Number 2, make sure you tune into our WrestleMania live stream where we will be watching WrestleMania with you guys, live reacting to everything that happens, and doing giveaways as well. At number 10, WrestleMania 22. The show carries a lot of emotion, a lot of glitz and glamour, and 4 very good matches. Rey Mysterio completed the run from the Rumble to the title, dedicating his performance through to the recently passed Eddie Guerrero. John Cena and Triple H put on a contender for the greatest pair of entrances of all time with Conan the Barbarian and Cena with the Mafia-inspired theme, followed by a fantastic WWE title match. Follow that by 2 gimmick matches of Edge and Mick Foley, and Shawn versus Vince McMahon in a street fight, as well as the casket match that Taker and Henry had. Definitely rounds out my top 10 Manias of all time. At number 9, WrestleMania 28. I understand the phrase once in a lifetime is supposed to be once in a lifetime, and this match did happen at number 29 as well. We can't deny that. However, Cena versus Rock was a very fun contest in which a dream match to many finally happened. CM Punk versus Chris Jericho for the world title, for all you AEW fans out there. Sheamus beating Daniel Bryan in 18 seconds, which, yes, was disappointing, but yet very funny. And then, once again, the staple of WrestleMania carried this as Undertaker and Triple H put on a classic with HBK as a special guest referee and many false finishes where we thought the streak would be over. At number 8, WrestleMania 20. Some people may not have this in their top 10, and to that, I once again say make your own list. However, this was the first Mania that I got to watch live as a child. Goldberg versus Lesnar on this card was probably the worst match they've ever had. But the rest of this card was actually packed with a lot of fun, feel-good moments. The then very over Chris Benoit winning the triple threat to Eddie cheating to win against Kurt Angle was maybe the highlight of working title matches in the last 20 years in main events. The Rock and Sock Connection losing to put over Evolution. Chris Jericho and Christian putting on a fun contest. This card was highlighted by the story of Kane and the returning Deadman and a brother versus brother that did not disappoint. At number 7, WrestleMania 26. Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker has to be one of the greatest WWE matches of all time. It was followed by a pretty insanely packed card. Bret Hart versus Vince. CM Punk versus Rey Mysterio. Orton versus his 2 legacy proteges, including one Cody Rhodes. The card was headlined by a Canadian World title match in Edge versus Jericho, as well as Cena versus Batista in what would ultimately be the 2 heads of an era. This was definitely one to remember and definitely top 10. At number 6, WrestleMania 8. The debut of maybe the staple of WrestleMania and The Undertaker is the main factor of this, but this was a stacked card nonetheless. Shawn Michaels versus Tito Santana for Michaels' first singles run. The ever-classic Owen Hart. Randy Savage versus Ric Flair for the world title. Bret Hart versus Roddy Piper. Hulk versus Sid was billed as the final match for Hogan, which was actually just a cover-up for Hogan's steroid scandal. Nonetheless, top 10. At number 5, WrestleMania 3. Aretha Franklin singing the national anthem, as well as "This is WrestleMania" catchphrase was born. Not to mention the likes of a Loser Must Bow match, Roddy Piper and his farewell from WWE, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Randy Savage in the Workers title match, and Jake versus the Honky Tonk Man would have been enough for a Mania card. However, the real story was Andre versus Hulk and the legacy that Andre left behind. He will forever be etched in WWF history and will always be remembered as Hulk's greatest opponent at WrestleMania. At number 4, WrestleMania 21. The first time Cena won world title gold from a nuclear-heated JBL. Triple H versus Dave Batista in a match that defines the term long-term booking. Randy becoming a star against Taker, and more. After a less Mania 20 21 redeemed itself with little to no dull action. A few other takeaways: the first ever Money in the Bank, which would become a staple in all things WWE. Ray versus Eddie in a battle of friends that tore the undercard down. And a sumo match between The Big Show and Akibono, which was too fun to watch for what it was. And then you had HBK versus Kurt Angle in a dream match that definitely lived up to the billing. This WrestleMania easily cracks top 5. At number 3, WrestleMania 19. McMahon versus Hogan, just being on this card is worth the price of admission. And the fact that it was in a street fight is even better. Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar for the world title in the beginning of what would be the Ruthless Aggression era was fantastic through and through. However, for me, Rock versus Austin for the last time was the match that mattered most to me on this card. And as it was the culmination of what was maybe the most important era in wrestling history. Sprinkle in a few other fun matches like Ray versus Matt Hardy, Undertaker with one of his better performances from Limp Bizkit at Mania, defeating A-Train and Big Show in essentially a handicap match, and HBK versus Y2J in a classic. 19 is without question top 5. At number 2, WrestleMania 30. There might be people that disagree because of the Undertaker and Lesnar match, but this was the culmination and the ending of the streak. Did the right guy go over to end it? No. But this was the end of something that was established during many of our childhoods. The Shield got their comeuppance against Kane and the New Age Outlaws. John Cena and Bray Wyatt had a good match where Bray should have won. The beginning of 3 consecutive earth-shattering pops featuring Stone Cold, The Rock, and Hulk led to the ultimate underdog story of Daniel Bryan finally winning the big one. At number 1, WrestleMania 17. I could put the TLC match with Edge and Christian, the Dudley Boys, and the Hardys as maybe the best tag team gimmick match of all time. And that's just one match on this card. A decent battle royale, as well as a fantastic bouts between future stars in Kane, Raven, and Big Show, Jericho and William Regal, Eddie Guerrero and Test, Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit, which could have been the best bout in history. But this card was headlined by a banger between Taker and Hunter, Vince and Shane, and maybe the most important Austin and Rock match to ever happen. And that's my list. Make sure you comment down below. Tell me what you think. Tell me if I missed any glaringly obvious bouts or cards that should have been a part of this. What are your honorable mentions and what's your favorite Mania of all time? Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.